Godzilla fans crave a series that defines the true nature of the King of the Monsters. An unstoppable, living embodiment of terror and destruction. In this compilation of all the issues in this epic story, you'll see Godzilla be just that. He, along with some familiar faces, will appear in ways you've never seen them before. He will fight foes you'd least expect, and present the peoples of Earth with a threat they can never comprehend. This is Godzilla Rage Across Time.
Feudal Japan, the year 1274. The story starts out with two clans battling for who should have control of the land. A back and forth battle between people from the same country, the same land. Then all of a sudden, their fight is cut short. An old man approaches with news that is very dire. The man states that their petty feuds must be cast aside for the greater good of the nation. The warriors ask what could be worse than their fight. Well, I'll let Alice there explain.
900 Mongol ships carrying 40,000 warriors sent by Kublai Khan, conqueror of China. They are led by the ruthless Zhengjin Khan, the dragon master who controls the ancient monsters Gigan and Megalon. The Mongols are not here to subjugate, they are here to bring about the utter destruction of the Japanese people and our culture.
The old man then claims that they are the most powerful warriors in all of Japan, and if the country is going to survive, that they must put aside their differences and unite, join together on a great journey. After some bickering occurs about the importance of this quest, one of the warriors is revealed to be a woman, and throughout this story you'll see how that has importance. Then the two warriors ask the old man, "What would you have of us?"
You must embark on a long and perilous journey through lands best avoided and long forgotten. Japanese warriors will fight to the death, slowing the Mongol advance, knowing that the only path to victory lies with your successful return. But the road ahead will not be easy. Ancient evils roused by the sound of battle will seek your destruction. You will either rise to the challenge together or die separately, along with your compatriots on the battlefield. At the summit of Mount Puertokuta, you will find the Shiobijin Temple. Japan's salvation awaits you there, but be warned, the one you summon is as formidable as it is ancient.
As the two warriors come within sight of their destination, the first test of their alliance is put to test. Upon climbing the cliffside, an earthquake happens all of a sudden. The man warrior loses his grip and begins to fall, but then suddenly the woman warrior catches him, but then struggles to pull the much heavier human up. She claims that he is heavy, and then he replies that the old man was a fool to send a woman. This then sets off a rage within the woman that can only be rivaled by Godzilla's. Fueled by this gender insult, the woman warrior not only pulls the man to safety, but launches him aside as well. For a moment it seemed like their alliance was being put to the test and would come to an end, but then something much worse happened. They were attacked. Multiple crab-like creatures come at them from all sides. With the woman's impressive archery skills, and the man's excellence with his blade, they make quick work of these crab monsters. And then they make haste to the temple's entrance. Once entering the temple, they see an ancient monster, the Yamata no Orochi, the creature in which King Ghidorah is inspired from. Is this the great monster that they seek, the one that will help save Japan? The two warriors are baffled, confused of how they have any chance against the Yamata. Until all of a sudden a noise is heard amidst the wind, something that sounds like music. Out of nowhere, two nearly identical women appear amidst the clouds. They claim that the warriors must control the Yamata, and then they give orders to the two warriors of how this must be done. The benevolent beings put sacred power into the woman warrior's arrow, and she fires it directly at one of the Yamata's heads. This stuns the beast for a moment, but in the distance, something awakes. Something much worse. The samurai warrior is then led to an ancient relic, one that the benevolent beings say is the only way to control the Yamata no Orochi. After getting hold of this sacred statue, it is said that the Orochi will obey their every command. For a moment, hope is saved, and then he shows up. The Yamata is about to munch down on the woman warrior, but then the samurai comes to save her life. With the artifact in tow, the Yamata no Orochi stops its attack, just as the two warriors think they have saved Japan. Yamata no Orochi is put to the test by none other than Godzilla. Within what seemed like no time at all, Godzilla crushed the life out of the Yamata no Orochi. The two warriors then ask, what are they going to do now? Distract Godzilla for a moment and get the hell out of there.
After proving your worth and waking the great monster, you must return with the swiftness of eagles. For the new Khan army, vast and powerful, led by men who are not men at all, will not delay in their conquest. If you can achieve all this and return on time, only then will we find victory. Only then will Japan be saved.
With Godzilla hot on their tail, they decide to lure the gigantic beast to the Mongol army. The story quickly then cuts to a Japanese city, where the soldiers there began to lose all hope, as two gigantic monsters attack, Gigan and Megalon. The two monsters have already destroyed half of the city, and just as they are about to take out the other half, the king of the monsters arrives. As Godzilla and the other monsters battle, so do the humans. The two warriors throughout the story lead their armies against the Mongol horde, monster and man, fighting side by side for the same goal: to save the land of Japan. With Gigan and Megalon fighting individually and not as a team, Godzilla is getting the advantage. That's when the Mongol leader uses his secret weapon and orders the monsters to fight together as a team against Godzilla. And for a while it works. They begin to get the advantage over Godzilla. But then, with her enchanted arrow, the woman warrior fires one hell of a fantastic shot through the armies of man, directly into the device controlling Gigan and Megalon. It is destroyed, and the monsters come out of their trance. Godzilla takes advantage of this opportunity and makes the two monsters regret they were ever weak enough to be controlled by man. With the Mongol army destroyed and Japan saved, the two warriors meet again with the old man. With the ancient relic used to control Yamata no Orochi no longer of any use, they decide that the best thing to do with this power is simply destroy it. If the Mongols were ever to try to attack Japan again, they would not need this power because now they're united as one.
This is how the old gods died, and how a devil was born. It was the finest civilization the world had ever known, nestled in a land created for a unified people under the guiding hands of all-knowing wisdom and justice, a beloved leadership that was worshipped. Yet with time they grew bored, complacent, and even the love of the people could not state their gluttonous need for reverence. And so complacency led to apathy.
The Pantheon, atop Mount Olympus. The gods are doing what gods do, lounging around enjoying their special lives, when suddenly their drinking is disturbed. The greatest of all the gods, Zeus, had little patience for what he was about to hear next. A tragedy at sea. Two mortal factions, once at war, have both been felled. Zeus is amused as to why he should care about these measly humans. The gods then go on to do what they do best: argue amongst one another, bickering about whose opinion is right and whose is wrong. At the end of the day, though, there is only one voice that truly matters, and that is the voice of Zeus, the god of thunder. His decision about the humans is, they are a nuisance. As much as she argued her point, Aphrodite could not outmatch the word of Zeus, but it did pique the interest of the god of the seas, Poseidon. With the tragedy taking place at sea, he decides that he will look into the matter, and leaves Zeus, Aphrodite, Ares, and the rest of the gods to continue bickering on what they should do next.
Gods, masters of all they surveyed, but every god must have a devil, and a great one awaited.
Poseidon arrives to see the damage that has taken place. What could have caused this sort of destruction? Just as Poseidon is about to claim that it was just the humans' fault as to why this happened, he is cut short and sees the real problem. This is no ordinary Greek monster. This is Godzilla. Then the two great gods of the sea confront each other, all while the gods continue their debate. Hera then approaches Zeus and lectures him on how his decisions could possibly be wrong. This does not go over well amongst him and the other gods, but they're certainly having it better than Poseidon.
Brave Ares was right. While some gods knew that the time of change was upon them, Zeus truly believed that he was above the rest of the world. Atop his mountain he was, but on the ground he couldn't have been more wrong.
Poseidon had lost, and Godzilla seeks to destroy even more of humanity. This shocks the gods, catches them off guard even. Not only had Poseidon lost, he also antagonized Godzilla. The king of the monsters now knew about all the gods, and his one goal now was to make them kneel to the one true king.
This is where a devil, my devil, was born.
This is when the gods felt a cold shiver go down their spines, especially Zeus. The first to confront Godzilla is Ares, the god of war. He leaps towards Godzilla, shouting, "You dare challenge Ares, the god of war? You may try, my..." The gods had lost another brother, and Zeus was getting even more angry. He then summons the Hydra to take on Godzilla. Cue the Godzilla battle theme.
While a god tried to fight from above, a monster sought to even that fight. The monster brought that god down to earth. The god was alone for the first time. All that he had known lay in ruins because of this monster. And for that, this monster must pay.
Godzilla's fight with the Hydra left Mount Olympus destroyed and crumbled. All the gods but Zeus lay dead, defeated by the king of the monsters. Zeus, the most powerful god of them all, then decides there is only one thing left to do. Take on the giant beast by himself. And the rest is just history.
With the last of my power, I vanquished the monster. I vanquished my devil. Aphrodite was right. Hera was right. We had turned our backs on the mortals, and in turn, now I find myself no greater than they were. Humbled, humiliated, and powerless. I left my past and Olympus behind. Behind me were the bodies of my fellow gods, not as fortunate as I to see a new day. The mortal subjects I once mocked and toyed with, now I feel pain and sorrow. For them as well, not one of them alive to see what I have done. No one to tell the story of my final act. So I traveled far from my old home, and towards a future I was determined to create. Without faith, a god is powerless. I know that now. If I am to be that person I once was, I must learn from my mistakes. I must learn from these mortals, so that I may not fail them again. If I am to regain my power, then I must spend time among them. I must learn their problems, of their sacrifices. Never again will I put myself above their desires, never living with the arrogance that I once had, and with this beast, my devil, long since gone.
England, the year 1348. The devastating plague is wreaking havoc on an English settlement. A strange man hidden behind a cloak and a mask is on a mission to talk to the king, King Edward III. Upon reaching his lord, the man is asked to remove his mask. He is healthy and able to talk to the king. The men speak of the Black Death and a sickness that covers the land. You would think it would be the disease-infested rats, but no. The king asks the man, "Do you know of dragons?" The man is confused, but before he has any time to question his king, he is suddenly at the will of a blade. "Assemble your finest. You will find this dragon. You will slay it. End the infection," the king says. The man now has his mission. Find this dragon and kill it. So the man assembles his best team of crusaders to march towards this monster. Soon the crew comes upon a disgusting sight. Dozens of dead, mutilated rats lay on the ground. What killed them? While they contemplate the cause of this gruesome scene, they are attacked. A giant bug-like monster bursts from the ground. The men are left shocked, speechless at what they're seeing. But hesitation only leads to death. So the Crusaders quickly work together to take down this beast. They then question if this is the true bringer of death. But it's not much of a dragon, they say. The crew wished for a harder foe, something that tales would be told for centuries to come. But not all think that this is the final test. Something is out there. Something is waiting. Ravens suddenly burst out of the trees. They look spooked and are clearly trying to get away from something. This must only mean one thing. The dragon is still in there, still in the forest, waiting for them. Waiting to feed. But they march on anyway. Megaguirus, the true dragon. Now it is time to prove their worth. Now it is time to prove their might. Let's see if they have what it takes. The Crusaders know they are outmatched, and they hide in a small cave. Unable to reach them, Megaguirus flies off. Upon seeing the dragon or Megaguirus, the Crusaders are left hopeless until they see this place. Something that looks holy, a place of God. The cure to this evil must be inside, or so they think. They walk the mighty steps of this fortification. It's beautiful, almost seeming to draw them in without question. And then they hear it. A faint tune in the distance. Then they are met by two familiar faces. They do not know these are the Mothra fairies, special beings, gods of sorts of the planet. Then she appears, Mothra in all her glory. Not a dragon, but an angel. Mothra then flies off. The rest of the Crusaders do not know that she means well. The cloaked man tries to tell them to stand down. Do not fire at her, she means no harm. But it is too late. Their arrows smack against Mothra's flesh, and she is not happy at all. While they question what has been done, Megaguirus comes back for more. But this time, the dragon doesn't know that he's about to face the queen. And now the two flying monsters face off, along with the help of the Crusaders. What happens next is pure chaos. Lives were lost, special ones even. But Mothra had defeated Megaguirus. The dragon was defeated, dead. The sickness, hopefully forever gone. The cloaked man can only say, "Thank you, my lord." He issues the rest of his men to burn the corpse of Megaguirus. But then, the sickness has infected the cloaked man. In what seems like no time at all, the cloaked man is covered in boils and disgusting growths over his body. He does not have much time left. He musters enough strength to go check on Isolde, the woman archer that we've seen throughout this story. Her heroic attack had helped Mothra defeat Megaguirus, but she was sent flying, and now lay, bleeding to death, paralyzed, and only a few breaths left of her life. She then dies in the cloaked man's grasp. "Peace be with you, Isolde," he says, "till we reunite in his kingdom of heaven." The story then quickly cuts back to the rest of the Crusaders wishing to get back behind doors. They have defeated the dragon, expecting some sort of reward, some sort of payment. The only reward they get is a swift death. Back in those days, good deeds mattered not. If people believed you had the plague, you were dead. 2,234 years ago, a small batch of Roman soldiers are marching through a cave system. Well, mostly marching. They are searching for someone. The great leader Hannibal himself. They believe they are walking into a trap, possibly even being poisoned by the food left over from these warriors. But that's when they realize that this is the least of their worries. Flaming beings in the shape of elephants charge towards the men. This cannot be right. Do their eyes deceive them? Is it actually elephants, or is it something else? In the distance, a silhouette can be seen. This is who the Romans were looking for, Hannibal himself. He then bears witness to the extreme carnage down below. There are few who could watch what was happening and keep a straight face like that of Hannibal. One of the general's men then approaches him, being very clear on how he thinks they are nothing but ants to this beast. Hannibal then replies, "Exactly, we are but ants." Hannibal then goes on to detail how once ants drove a rhinoceros mad. The beast rampaged through the village for a day and night. This is Hannibal's plan. This is what he intends to do with Godzilla. But there's one thing that must first be done. There is no passage through the northern Alps. A path must be created. So Hannibal sits down to think. In the midst of his thoughts, he feels something. He then quickly orders his men to grab the fastest horses and follow him. The beast is still near, but not for long, he yells. Hannibal and his men charge towards Godzilla upon their steeds. Hannibal gallops right underneath Godzilla's tail. He then swings his rope, throwing it upon Godzilla. It somehow manages to stay in place. He then does something unprecedented. He then begins to climb the rope as Godzilla treads forward. Hannibal then tries to ensure that he does not fall off the beast. He stabs his mighty sword deep into the flesh, but then he notices something. The sword didn't go into it, it just broke. With a quick flip of his tail, Hannibal is sent flying to the ground below. His plan was ruined. In the midst of the ashes and corpses that followed the mighty charge towards Godzilla, Hannibal is still left unbroken. He will find a way, no matter what. He will find this northern passage. He then orders his men to call upon the mercenary commanders. Have them gather with you, he says. We will do as the ants. We will form an unbreakable column. After meeting up with the mercenaries and marching for quite some time, the mercenary leader states that his men need a rest. They'll hunker down for the night. As the mercenaries sit around a fire, resting and feasting, telling of great war stories, dark figures mass in the shadows. Druids, ancient barbarians, are watching them. They are not fans of the Romans and they are not allies with Hannibal. Suddenly, they burst from the shadows, and with a swift swing of the blade, the mercenary leader's head is chopped straight in two. The mercenaries and warriors call for Hannibal. They need his aid in this battle. Quickly, he emerges from his tent, ready to wage battle. He charges the druid leader and slams into him with his shield, straight into the chest, knocking the air out of the man. But before Hannibal and the wolf warrior could battle, something stops them. You know what it is.
The druids are dead, and most of Hannibal's men. The mercenaries are gone as well. But still, Hannibal is unfazed. He will get through the Alps, he will reach the Romans, and he will make them suffer. This is when he comes up with the ultimate plan. I'll let him explain it to you himself.
I will set out and find the beast. While I'm gone, bring the barrels of vinegar to the ravines. Then gather as many dead that'll fit, cover them in tar, and place them in the catapult. I give the beast chase. I will show him our resolve. We will have but a moment. All the men must be ready, especially the archers. When I return, I'll bring the fires of Tartarus behind me.
His plan definitely worked. The giant beast, Godzilla, is not very happy. Amidst this well-devised attack, Godzilla is sent rumbling around through the caves, destroying everything, collapsing the walls, sending boulders flying. All the great leader Hannibal can do is just hang on for dear life. Just as Godzilla eyes down Hannibal, preparing for the killing strike, the rest of his men quickly fire their arrows directly into Godzilla's dorsal plates. Surprisingly, it stuns the giant monster, giving Hannibal just enough time to get out of the way. The same cannot be said for some of his men, though. The barrels of newly created, highly explosive vinegar are then ordered to be set free. As the barrels tumble down, they reach Godzilla's mighty flames, and then set off a reaction of epic proportions. The plan worked. The cave collapses around Godzilla, trapping the mighty monster, at least for now. The explosion caused a pathway in the mountains to be opened. Their northern passage has finally been discovered. As Hannibal and his men march through this opening, they question what price they will have to pay for this victory. But that mattered not. The day had come that all Romans have feared. If only all the Romans had to worry about was Hannibal and his men, though.
Wait, this can't be right.
Homo erectus, 1.7 million years.
A velociraptor? At 70 to 75 million years old.
Most interesting.
How can both these bones be found on the same ridge?
Good question, Miss Kasumi. Very good question.
Okay, remember what we taught you, right? Take the axe, build shelter, hunt. Protect the harvest and female. Bury this in the ash and keep it nourished like we taught you. You are not the most intelligent species, but you are resourceful. We traveled a long way to bring you here. We have eliminated the menace. You will prosper with no immediate danger. This planet, like the many others we have taken over, we will reclaim Earth when the harvest can sustain our people, and we drain its resources. Now go, flourish.
So that was Godzilla Rage Across Time. Both Jacob and I have fond memories making these, so I hope you enjoyed our little blast from the past. Back to the early days of DangerVille. If you want us to make more comic videos, be sure to subscribe and stomp the notification button to let us know what you want to see more of. And don't forget to give us a big old Kong-sized thumbs up. Let us know in the comments which comic is your favourite. And as always, we'll see you residents in the next one.